So hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today to our online ConnecTALKS Mental Health and Wellbeing in Times of a Crisis with Stella Photi. It's really great to see many of you logged in and many more logging in. We're expecting quite a few people. I'm delighted that Stella could spend the time with us today, and I wanted to briefly share a little bit about our host. Stella founded Wellbeing Escapes over 11 years ago when she saw a growing need of today's hectic world for people to take time to recuperate from their busy lives. She was a jet setter, and Stella has visited over 54 different countries and has tried well over 100 different treatments. So it's fair to say that Stella certainly knows a thing or two about wellbeing travel and has learned her expertise to many different media publications, as well as being leading member of the International Health and Wellbeing Alliance. Her favorite healthy holiday is Kamalaya Wellness Sanctuary, and her favorite fitness activity is walking in nature. She believes it's a great stress reliever, and she makes sure she walks with her dog, Louie, in the park for at least 30 minutes a day. So very healthy. She also loves dance classes, Latin dance and Zumba. So she feels these are really energizing and keep the brain working. So you have to always remember to follow the routines. So I sympathize with that a lot. I like that too. Today, through her expertise, her extensive experience in well-being, she will help us through these challenging times and hopefully beyond. And I hope you will find this session useful. Before I give the word to Stella, this is how the session is going to work and what to expect. Stella, in true connection style, actually loves getting people involved and guiding you through workshops. So she'll ask you to participate actively and ask questions. So feel free to switch your camera on or not, but it'll be a very active session. So you will be asked to unmute yourself and ask a few questions and answer a few questions or two. She will also try and answer as many questions as possible, but the rest, if we can't get around all of the questions, the rest will be posted in a chat in the Connections community. So you'll have an opportunity to continue to ask her questions there. I'm sure many of you by now will have used Zoom already, but if not, can I ask you all to start off with to place yourself on mute, and then if you want to ask questions throughout, there is the chat button. But I'll leave Stella to decide that throughout her presentation, dependent on where she's at and what she wants to get involved with. But if we start off with muting ourselves and then follow Stella, that would be great. You can, however, choose the chat button and share your question to everyone, or direct it to specific people. You can direct it to just to myself, or there are 4 more people of the part of the Connections team. Gemma Fitchett. There is David Benitez with the hat there, you go. Alex Roca, there he is, and Greg Reeves with the headsets. There you go. So they're going to be at hand. So if you want to ask them privately a question, they will field it through to me. I would discourage you to field questions directly onto Stella, because she will be involved in actually the presentation itself and to get the workshop running. So if you have a question directed to me or any of my team, and we will make sure that Stella knows. This session will last up to 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 and is being recorded. So if you have any colleagues that would like to, that you believe throughout the session, say, oh, this may interest you to so-and-so, you will have the opportunity to share it with them after today. Last but not least, please be respectful and understanding of one another. We do encourage you to have a positive and supportive attitude and spirit also in light of these challenging times. So thank you, everyone. And for now, Stella, it's over to you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Micaela. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Micaela, for inviting me to do the session. I'm really excited to be here and try and share as many tips as I can from some of my own personal experience, really, on how to deal with our mental and physical health during these very uncertain times we're going through. So before we kind of go into the whole session, I want to tell you a little story, a little personal story of what I have dealt with over the last couple of months, just to put it all into perspective. So I think I was in a state of denial in February, beginning of March, probably like many others in the travel industry, about this whole situation with COVID-19. I was kind of convinced it was some small flu thing, it was going to pass, it's not a problem. You know, my team were getting a little bit worried about it, and I was like, no, it's not a problem, this is nothing, it's going to pass. And I had booked this amazing trip of a lifetime holiday to Peru with some friends who aren't in the travel industry, and they were asking me before we went as well, is it wise to go? You know, should we go? And I was like, yeah, everything's fine, we're gonna go, we're gonna have a great time. There's no coronavirus in Peru, was my line, you know, it doesn't exist there. So off we go to Peru, and we start off in Machu Picchu. We have this amazing experience, it's beautiful. And then the calls started coming in, and our first flight was cancelled on the way back because it was via Madrid, and that's when Spain was kind of blowing up. And then BA rebooked us via the US, and then we heard, well, actually we couldn't go via the US because the US weren't allowing us. Our visa got rescinded because we were from the EU, so the UK, so that we couldn't go back to via the UK, via the US, and we didn't have any flights to return back to the UK, and we were on the phone all day with BA trying to, you know, work all of this out. At the same time, we then ended up in this beautiful remote beach location in Peru, and we were given, literally, we got a call from the wonderful Veronica Napuri, who helped us with our trip in Peru, and said, Stella, you have 24 hours to get out the country. So we had to try and find a way to get back to Lima. Anyway, to cut long story short, we got back to Lima, but there was no flights. There weren't any flights that we could get on. So we ended up in the Holiday Inn at Lima Airport, overlooking the runway of a closed down airport with no flights going in, no flights going out, for close to 2 weeks. We were stuck in our rooms. We were literally quarantined in this room at the Holiday Inn because they'd shut down everything. The whole country went into a state of emergency. And you weren't allowed, well, you were allowed out once a day, and then you had to kind of negotiate with the army in the streets. It was pretty full on. And at the same time, I was getting calls from obviously the team in the UK saying, okay, this is not a good situation. This is what's happening over here. So you can imagine what I was dealing with mentally at that time. And being quite an optimistic person, I was, you know, before we went, I was like, oh, everything's going to be okay, but everything was hitting me in different directions, and my optimism was fading very, very quickly. So I wasn't sleeping at nights. It was just not a good situation. After about 2 weeks, actually it was 10 days in the Holiday Inn at Lima Airport, where a repatriation flight came in from the British government, and we came back to the UK. I was so delighted to be back in the UK at the time, because I have elderly parents here. My son was kind of stuck on his own here, so I was worried about him. But then when I got back in the UK, everything hit me, like it hit me pretty big, and I realized actually what a bad situation we were in, you know, from the travel industry, but also there was so much fear everywhere, and the mood of the country was so low, so somber. So I had 3-4 really bad days of feeling certain emotions. I'm just going to go through these emotions. The first one was fear, like massive amounts of fear. So really that fear was coming from not being able to control the situation, and also not knowing what the future brings. And for me, it was a big thing. It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I can't control anything. The second one was overwhelm. I was so overwhelmed with what I had to do, dealing with the team, dealing with clients, rebookings, refunds, dealing with bank managers, shareholders. It was just pretty overwhelming. And from that came a sense of anxiety. I was very anxious. I found my breathing quite shallow. And then the other big emotion for me was powerless. I felt powerless. It was like, what can I do? And that links into very much that fear and lack of control. So I just want to get some feedback from you guys. Can people just put into chat if they have felt similar emotions and what emotions they have felt throughout this situation, please, just so that I can see. Anyone sharing? Felt exactly the same. Thank you, Micaela. 100% similar. All the four you mentioned: uncertain and lost, unknown to what happens next, uncertainty, bewilderment. Yeah, all those things. So absolutely fear and powerless. I think that's the main thing, because we control our lives. You know, we try and control our lives on a day-to-day. So once that's taken away, it's like, what do we do? What do we do after we take that feeling of control away? So this is what I did. I took, after 3-4 really bad days, I took a deep breath and I thought, I really need to take control of these emotions. And I realized they were like demons, you know, and if I could let them, they'd take away all my power and my ability to move forward. So has anyone heard the term where attention goes, energy flows? Anyone heard that? Yeah, cool. So for me at that time, I realized that if I gave all these bad emotions my attention, they would just get bigger, and everything would just get worse for me. So then, being in the wellbeing industry for 15 years, thank you, Micaela, you said 11, but I'm actually older than that, so it's 15 years. So I drew on all the tools and knowledge that I've learned over the years in this industry to move me forward in a more positive way. And now I've got a completely different perspective. So I've stabilized the company, and I'm using this time to create new ideas for the business, you know, and finding new kind of angles to move the business forward. And I'm, you know, running an initiative right now to help our clients, which we're calling Wellbeing at Home. So in a way, I moved away from this kind of fear-driven perspective to more of a creative perspective. And I started to see, and that's going to sound a bit warped, but I started to see it as almost like a gift, you know, like someone's passed this gift, and how am I going to use that to the advantage of obviously myself, my family and my friends, but you know, the larger community. And so and I wanted to share with you some of the tools that I've used to get me to this position, and hoping that they'll help you. So the first thing is the news. And for me, it's like really, this is a really powerful one. Keeping a filter on news consumption. So I'm sure lots of you have an eye on the news throughout the day. And can you just give me a thumbs up if you've got the news on, or type in the chat box if you've got the news on all day, or you've got it streaming behind the scenes, or you're viewing the news a lot, so I can get an indication. Check in twice a day, that's pretty good. Alerts to news. Okay. Who's the alerts to news, Gemma? Okay. News only twice a day. Okay. Had enough. Very good. I used to, but not anymore. Only a couple of times a day. Not every day, just now and then. You guys are in an advanced group here. So let me tell you a little bit about the news industry. So have you noticed anything about the news headlines? You hardly ever see any positive headlines, right? So they're written to shock you, to enrage you, and to fill you with fear. That is like, I think that's, I'm sure a journalist would probably argue with me about that, but I'm sure that's part of their training. It's like, how can you shock your audience? And why do they do this? So you have to understand how our brain works for you to understand why they do it. They do it because they know they're going to catch our attention if they write these kind of shocking, fear-driven headlines. And that's because as humans, we're wired to react quickly to potential threats. So we kind of go into a fight or flight mode, and that's our basic instinct as a human being. So when we see bad news, it could be a signal to us, like, you know, our ancient part of our brain, to the ancient part of our brain, that we want to change and that we have to do something to change and that we need to do something to avoid the danger. So it grabs our attention. But what's the damage that it does to us? There's so much damage around this news. So even if we're not aware of it, for example, if we have news in the background, I'm having constant discussions with my husband, who likes to just have the news on in the background. It drives me crazy because I know that that news, even though you're not actually physically looking at it or watching it, it's kind of seeping into our subconscious mind, because we can hear bits of it, and it's just, without us consciously knowing, it's having an impact on our mood and our behavior. So that's why I always say it's not good to watch news at night before bed, as it will kind of seep into your subconscious while you sleep and potentially affect your the quality of your sleep, but also your mood the next day. Likewise with breakfast news, you know, in my view, the worst thing you can do is watch news as soon as you get up in the morning, because all you're hitting into those negative headlines, and that will, again, subconsciously, without you necessarily being aware of it, control your emotions and thoughts throughout the day. So I really would say that. And then on the other side, we're not hearing reporting on the positives. So for example, did you know that 96% of the people who contract coronavirus have reasonably mild symptoms and make a full recovery? And that if you were to catch it and are in good health, it's unlikely to kill you. I'm sure most of the people on this in the audience know this, but have you seen any headlines on this? No, of course not. You hear about the minority cases of these, you know, seemingly healthy people dying, and then that's your headline. But you have to probably read deep into the text to see the counteract of that for a more measured statement. And most people aren't reading down into the text. So immediately you have that big headline that's, you know, had that shock impact on you. And then we turn to social media. I mean, for me, Twitter's is a real example of this, where you've got lots of angry people stating their opinions as facts, and it just really affects your, again, seeping into your subconscious, easy to go down that dark tunnel. So again, I would say, please keep away from it. It's really not a good place to be. So my advice is keep a news filter. Keep up to date with what's going on, of course, but be conscious about what you want to read and when you want to watch the news, and try not to do it in the morning or bedtime, and try to limit it to 30 minutes a day. Otherwise, you're going to get kind of caught up in this whole negative news cycle. On the flip side, there are some forums out there and some great websites where you can see positive news, you know, and these aren't mainstream because I guess people want to read the bad news, I don't know, but there's a great website called the Good News Network, and I would really suggest you look at that because it has some great positive stories. There's lots of good things happening in the world. And even in this situation that we're in right now, there's lots of good news stories, and it will just fill us with a little bit of joy and a little bit of calm and give us a better outlook if we can immerse ourselves with these good news stories. If you're in the UK, another really good website is the Positive News website. So that's more UK centric, but that's another one I would recommend. So definitely take a look at those, and maybe make put something in your diary every day to not look at the BBC or whatever, or CNN, look at Good News Network instead, or look at that after you look at the mainstream news media. So yeah, that's that one. Secondly, another tool I use is I chose to stay in the present moment. And what does that mean? That means that our mind can take us all over the place. So our thoughts can take us into the past, what we could have done, what we did wrong. Like for me with my Peru trip, why did I go to Peru? Why didn't I listen? Why did I end up going there and spending all that, having all that angst around it? And then also what is going to happen in the future. But the reality is we can't control either of those, okay? Even though a lot of us think that we can, we can't. And one thing about this COVID situation is that we have realized that we have very limited control over this situation. There's nothing really individually we can do that affect what happens in our future with this. So it's only going to bring you down. Again, it's a downward spiral. And once you realize that these thoughts are useless, like rehashing the past and worrying about the future, and all they do is drain your time and energy. And again, remember that term, where attention goes, energy flows. Then you understand that we only have now, like right now. So what can we do and appreciate right now? And that is being in the present moment. So to help you control your mind jumping from past to future, there is a practice called mindfulness. I'm sure many of you know about it, which helps you kind of reconnect with your body. So I'd like to do an exercise with everyone online here, please. And we'll do a little exercise with you all to do some mindfulness. So can you all just close your eyes, sit comfortably in your chair. Yeah. And just put your hands in your lap. You can either have them facing down or turn them up. Whatever's more kind of comfortable and natural for you. And I want you to take a couple of very deep breaths where you inhale through your nose into your belly and then exhale with your mouth open. Okay, so I'll do one so you can see what I mean. You do have to open your eyes, but if we do, so if you can all do 2 or 3 of those breaths. Right, okay. So now we're going to just take our attention to breathing in and out from our nose. And we're going to do just a very simple count. So we're going to, as we breathe in, we're going to count for 3. We're going to hold for 3. And then we're going to exhale for 3. So if we do breathe in, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Release, 1, 2, 3. So just get into your own rhythm and start to breathe gently. Feel your abdomen expanding as you're breathing in, and gently let the air go and exhale through your nose. Don't force anything, just concentrate on your breathing and keep repeating this and observe how you feel with it. So you may be having physical sensations. You may feel tingling. You may feel something in any of your joints. You'll find that your mind is probably going to wander. That's okay. That's very normal. When you notice this, just notice your thoughts like they're clouds. Just pretend they're clouds and you're just observing them as they're floating by. Don't worry about the thoughts. No one can entirely clear their mind, so that's very normal. So keep watching your thoughts as they pass by. And now let's put some attention to different parts of your body. So I'd like you to put your focus into your feet and take some breaths while you're focusing on your feet. And imagine there's a thread that comes from the bottom of your feet and goes deep into the earth below. So feel into your feet there. Now let's move that attention into your calves, up to your knees, your thighs, and into your abdomen, your lower abdomen. Take some breaths, just focusing on this area here, your abdomen. Again, you may be feeling tingling here. That's okay, it's very normal. So keep moving upwards and put your attention into your heart area. And take some deep breaths around your heart area. And imagine there's a golden light that's coming out of your heart and surrounding your body. Let's do that for a minute or so. Let's move that up into our neck area. So imagine that golden light now around your neck. And then it comes down into your hands, arms, into your hands. And imagine there's a ray of golden light coming out of your hands, shooting out of your hands like laser beams. Now let's go to our head, like our forehead. Put your attention there and relax your eyes. So pretend your eyes are like ice cubes and they're melting. They're melting in a glass of warm water. So feel that relief around your eyes and into the back of your head. So now just take another deep breath, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and slowly come back and join me. So can you type it for me, some sensations you were feeling there? Did you have lots of thoughts while you were doing this? Could have slept. Thanks, Greg. Very calm, peacefulness. Wonderful. So it took you out of your mind though, right? No thoughts at all. Amazing. Barbara. Chilled out totally. Wonderful. So, oh, well done, Barbara. You meditate regularly, so you know the benefit of this. But this was just a small exercise. You can do this anytime yourself. And it's really, what it's about is about being in the present moment. And letting go of your thoughts controlling you. So and realizing that, you know, our thoughts are there. They're just something that's happening to us. They're not us. You know, you're not your thoughts. So when you recognize that you're in that present moment and you let go of that kind of fear and control, you automatically start to feel peaceful and raise your levels of happiness and appreciate those small things. So when I was stuck in that room in Peru, I was trying to do this every day to keep myself positive. So I'd find things to get excited about, like what are they gonna bring for breakfast? It ended up being scrambled eggs every day, but hey, you know, I was still getting excited about my scrambled eggs every day. It's just those very small things that that you start to focus on, and you live in that present moment. So the really great thing about all of this is that when you get into that happy state, you start to think clearly. And then that's when you get creative and new ideas come, and you feel like you can do anything you want and you can put your mind to, so you become focused. I've heard, in fact, I was discussing this with Micaela a few days ago, that some people are coming up with ideas from a place of kind of fear and desperation, which I can understand, and it may be the case, but imagine what you can come up with if you're in the flow, like an athlete performing at their very best. So you're not in that kind of place of fear and feeling desperate. So imagine, like, athletes, when they're relaxed and focused, they really perform at their best, not when they're scared and desperate, right? And I know sometimes when we're in that feeling of, oh my God, I've got to do something to get me out of here, and you can come up with ideas then, but imagine how much better those ideas will be and how much better you'll feel about everything if you're in this more kind of present state where that fear and lack of control isn't controlling us, so to speak. So I wanted to do some breakout sessions now and give ourselves about 5 minutes or so to discuss, like, those really small things that make you happy, and some examples of when you were in the flow and created something amazing or came up with a good idea. So can we do that, guys? Can we do that? Connections team, please. We'll just give ourselves 5 minutes to do that.
Okay.
I want maybe one person per group just to share, or actually whoever wants, just to share for a few minutes some of the stuff they discussed. It'd be nice to hear.
Claudia, you were saying a few nice things. I'm putting you on the spot. Where's Claudia?
There's Claudia.
What did I say? Hello.
Hi, Claudia.
Hello there. I put my video on because it's more personal, but I feel, hold on, I'm in my happy place.
Very nice weather as well. So.
Exactly, it's beautiful. Well, I just what I contemplated about is this whole scenario we are in is, it's all about letting old structures dissolve so that new structures, new opportunities actually have space to come to light. And I was given the analogy about a house. You know, if you want to build a house, you have to clear everything first. You know, the previous house needs to be cleared so that you have a total new space to rebuild whatever you want to create. So when you think about this situation we are in from that perspective, I found it hugely exhilarating, actually, hugely exciting. However, it comes with emotions, and you know, this is just, emotions are part of who we are. I think the key is to managing the emotions when they come up, because it's just natural that, you know, there are emotions of, I don't know, fear, of whatever come up occasionally. We are human beings, so it's okay to have emotions, but actually knowing how to deal with it.
Right. Thank you.
Is it a good scenario?
Perfect. I just what I wanted to get, maybe someone can share an example of when they were in a happy state, they created something rather than in a state of kind of fear and desperation. So have we got anyone willing to share an example of that?
I have quite the opposite, Stella.
Oh no.
I'll let someone share that story. I seem to be needing to be under extreme pressure to create something when I'm in a happy place, I tend to kind of be lazy. So it just works in a different way. I'm very relaxed and I look amazing and so relaxed and everything. But yeah, although on the flip side, I do get quite restless. And when I am doing nothing and I'm completely relaxed, I'm completely happy. So ideas do flow. Yeah.
I think it's more about that. The word inspiration comes from in spirit, you know. So when you're inspired, you're in a place of feeling at one, feeling happy, feeling content. And I think when you're in that place, you can have some great ideas. It's a different energy for when you're feeling under pressure. Of course, we can all create under pressure too. I'm not saying that that's bad. Of course, you know, that's very normal. But I think there's some magic and there's some sparkle in when you're in a place, an inspired place where things are going well, or you're feeling good, that you can create there as well. And I think not everybody has that personality type like you, who is a very driven personality, and you can create in that kind of place of fear. A lot of people shut down when they're in that state of fear, and they completely go within, and they just can't do anything. So I guess the key is knowing yourself and managing that, but being able to get yourself out of that shutdown state and moving more into a place of it's all going to be okay, and then creating from that place of happiness. Can someone share some points about what small, very tiny little things that make them happy?
Spending time with my children.
Running.
Things I've been really happy about, as I was sharing in the breakaway room, is all the lovely bird song we're hearing in the evenings when I typically finish work and I'm sitting down with a drink and to catch up on some reading. I typically put on music, but now I haven't been doing that because there's such beautiful bird song in the evenings.
Amazing. That's so true. These are the small things, aren't they?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, the small things that bring out. And I think when we're in overdrive and we're rushing around and we're achieving and we're doing all those things that we're expected to do on a day-to-day basis, we miss out on the small things, those small joyous moments. So I feel like in a way we can use this opportunity as a gift to reconnect with those small things that can bring us some joy. So if you're really into this happiness stuff, and you're interested in increasing your well-being, you know, well-being is being in a state of happiness and calm and health. Yale, the University of Yale, is running a complimentary course in the science of well-being, which is really, really interesting. I'm just going to put that on chat so you can visit the website and find out more about it if you're interested in that. I've also shared on chat the Good News Network that I was talking about earlier in terms of positive news, and it's uplifting. And I saw what you had written, Micaela. That's great that you guys also share a positive story every Friday.
There every Friday. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's so cool. So these are the two things here. So okay, so we've talked about.
One more thing. I don't know how many of you actually get happy about receiving shopping food. I don't think I've ever been so happy when the shopping man delivers bags to my door and food is there.
The food, yeah.
Frenzy at home. Where is my tiramisu? Where is my biscuits? Where is this? Where is that? And we get so happy about this pizza night. Yay!
But that's what I mean. Those are those lovely small things that we're all reconnecting over, and as families, as whatever. Like even if you're on your own, you know, the food element and reconnecting with that basic, you know, thing that we need in life, which is food. You know, how many times in the past when you were rushing around, you were just eating your food and you weren't even tasting it, you know, because you're just eating at your desk or you're rushing. So that it just puts a different perspective on the basic joyful things in life. And I think this is a gift of this situation, it has given us that chance to slow down and really do that. And Claudia gets her weekly delivery from Abel and Cole. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, we are having breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, and that just honestly is like, oh my God, whenever has ever. I mean, we have dinner together, but actually having, and the girls have got rotas, and they're enjoying cooking stuff. And did you like my meal? My meal was better than yours, and next time I'm gonna have this instead. And cooking tiramisus and all sorts of.
Now I'm craving tiramisu. Thank you for that, Micaela. My dog thinks I've retired. I love it. Me too. My dog has become really spoiled because he goes for 3 long walks a day, and now he thinks he's the boss of the house, you know? And so he's just like walking in and out whenever he feels like it. He's picking up, stealing people's shoes, all kinds of things. But these are the joyful moments. I love it.
Carla says, my dog thinks I have retired.
Yes, I mean, I love it. Veronica, what is Veronica saying in Spanish there?
And Greg says, Veronica says, it's so nice to see that Maite is in this group.
Okay.
Group, yeah. Okay, and Greg says, my dog has had enough of so many walks.
Yeah.
Has he gone on strike or something?
He's going on strike. Still taking me for a walk. Yeah. So, okay, so we've talked about all this kind of mental stuff, how we can change our moods, some tools there about the news, about being mindful in the moment. You can do your own little meditation, and just, you know, focus on your breathing, watch your thoughts go by. And then, you know, these things that make us happy, you can explore that further on your own. But we also need to talk a little bit about our bodies, and you know, we need to keep our minds strong, centered and grounded, but we also need to do the same thing for our bodies. And especially now with this virus, with COVID-19, it's very important that we keep our immunity high and that we are fit and strong to be able to impact this. And, you know, maybe other things that come in the future. I mean, it's a real wake-up call for all of us, I think, right now, about what is the most important thing in life. It's our health. I mean, we've seen it. It's just, it's become so obvious to so many people. So it's really no surprise that COVID-19 impacts most seriously those who are already weak. It's those who have metabolic disorders like diabetes, high blood pressure, those who are obese. I mean, there's statistics coming out right now about deaths being linked to people who are obese below the age of 60 who get COVID. So really, our health is everything. Without our health, there is nothing, and we've seen that right now. So it's a big wake-up call, people. This is what I'm saying to everyone. This is a big wake-up call. And if we're not healthy to start with, we can get hit by this indiscriminate kind of nasty virus. So it's really time to start thinking about leading a healthier lifestyle so we keep our immunity levels high and we can withstand these threats. And it makes me wonder sometimes, I was thinking about this and it made me wonder, like, how the lengths that people will go to protect their possessions and their money, you know, like with insurance or security or all those other things, but they don't even think about how to protect their health for the long term. So for me, this is a sign really that we need to come back to the basics, and the basics are our health. So it's time to really address our lifestyle and think about, you know, how we live. So a few pointers on this, just some advice. It's not an exhaustive list by any means, but it's just some nuggets that you may or may not know, and hopefully will help you. So firstly, be aware that fresh, healthy food is your medicine. I mean, this is, if there's anything that you need to remember, that is like the main thing. And one of the problems that we have with obesity in this country, in the States, not so much with continental Europe, is that people are eating, you know, vast amounts of processed food. So if we think about fresh, healthy food as being our medicine, that is the most important thing. And you can find the vital vitamins and minerals in food. You don't even have to take supplements. So the main vitamins and minerals that will help for keeping a strong immune system are vitamin C, selenium, and zinc. And these are the building blocks of building strong immunity. So if you keep those levels of these vitamins and minerals at optimal levels, they're going to improve your body's chances of staving off viruses, bugs, and also they're going to improve your recovery time. So if you do get sick, you can recover much quicker. So you can take supplements, of course, but the most bioavailable method is taking these vital vitamins through your diet. So in terms of high vitamin C food, of course, everyone knows oranges and lemons, but did you know you can get more vitamin C out of a kiwi fruit than you can out of an orange? That's quite important. Berries are really high in vitamin C as well, blueberries, strawberries, pineapples, and interestingly enough, sweet potato. Sweet potato has quite a high level of vitamin C. The other main mineral that you need for your immunity is selenium. And selenium you can find in Brazil nuts. So even if you just buy a little packet of Brazil nuts and have 3 Brazil nuts a day, you're topping up your selenium levels. And this is something you should be doing throughout, all the time, really, not just now. Again, making it part of your lifestyle. The other selenium-rich foods are turkey, fish, brown rice, lentils, and eggs. So these are some other pointers. And then finally, you have zinc. You need to keep your zinc levels high, again, to help your immune system. And there, it is, you know, free range organic meat, shellfish. Shellfish has high levels of zinc. Lentils, if you're vegetarian or vegan, seeds, nuts, whole grains, and eggs again. So those are the kind of main foods to think about for your immunity. The other big powerhouse is garlic. I remember when I was a little kid, my grandmother used to, my family's Greek, and my grandmother used to chew on raw garlic. I mean, it was just pretty gross. And she used to tell me how it helps your health. I used to think she was a nutcase, you know, and she used to come and sit next to me, give me a kiss. I was like, oh no, you're quite stinky. But actually, all these years later, I have accepted that. Garlic has huge antiviral properties, and raw garlic is the most potent. So if you can face it and you get used to it, mix crushed garlic with raw honey and have a couple of teaspoons every day. So the raw, when I make a point about raw honey, the honey you buy from the supermarkets is pasteurized and it's heated. So it takes away all of its major healing properties when you do that. Go seek out raw honey. You can buy that from a health food shop. And sometimes there may be local, you know, people who make honey, have their own beehives, and that usually is raw as well. So I would seek that out. The other way you can use garlic, of course, is in dressings, salad dressings. You just crush the garlic in there with a little olive oil and lemon, and that keeps it raw as well. I mean, there is still some properties to cooked garlic, but the raw garlic is the most powerful. So look for that. The other one, which is quite well known, and I'm sure many of you have tried it, is turmeric, which is a fantastic household spice. People from Asia use it a lot in their cooking, and it has huge health benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, and it also helps increase the immunity of your body by helping your T cells be more vigilant. So your cells become more vigilant, and they kind of spot the potential bugs around, and they launch what you call an antibody response. So, you know, our bodies are very intelligent if we look after them. So if we give them the right foods, they will help protect us. So ways to up your intake of turmeric could be to add it, well, if you're making curry, you would put it in there, put a teaspoon in your soups, in stews. You can even make a turmeric latte by yourself. You don't have to go and buy a pre-packaged one. So a little recipe for that is a teaspoon of ground turmeric, a little bit of black pepper, and some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, a little bit of fresh ginger, and you can heat it all together. You can pour in milk, you can pour in almond milk, oat milk, you can use dairy milk, whatever you prefer. And then you can use your raw honey to sweeten it as well, or your maple syrup. Always when you use turmeric, put a little bit of black pepper in it, because it activates the properties of the turmeric. So that's something that's worth knowing. And I'll tell you a little story about turmeric. My dog, comes back to my dog. My dog had a joint problem on one of his paws, and I took him to the vet, and they wanted to give me all these drugs and everything. I was like, forget that. And somebody told me to start mixing a little bit of olive oil with turmeric and black pepper and put it over his food. I did it every day for a week or two, and it just got rid of the problem. So I thought, well, gosh, it works on animals, it works on humans, you know. So there is, you know, it really is a powerful spice. A lesser known spice for building our immunity is something called star anise, which is it's like a little star shape, and it tastes of aniseed. It's delicious, but it's also antiviral because it has something called shikimic acid content. So you can put that in your tea. You can put, that's what I do when I make tea with a tea bag. I just put 1 star anise in it just to raise the levels of that. Or you can make your own infusion with ginger, star anise, and again sweeten with a little bit of raw honey. So those are the kind of food is medicine areas. The other, moving away from food, there's some other things that we can do to keep ourselves healthy and strong. The main one being vitamin D, which is the sunshine vitamin. So there have been some preliminary studies done now about people with low levels of vitamin D, and they found that those people who have the low levels of vitamin D have had much more negative outcomes when they have got coronavirus. And again, it's not just coronavirus, it's anything. So if you can up your levels of vitamin D, that would be very beneficial for you. So try and get at least 20 minutes a day of sunshine if you can, if you live in a place where you can access sunshine. This time of year is a good time. And just do 20 minutes, but don't put sunscreen on, because the sunscreen blocks the vitamin D, the absorption of the vitamin D. So, you know, just give yourself 20 minutes without any sunscreen, and then put the sunscreen on afterwards. So it's really, vitamin D is great for regulating the immune system, the health of our cells. And interestingly enough, there were studies done in the UK in particular about a large percentage of the population has low levels of vitamin D. So it's really worth paying attention to. If you can't get into the sun, then you can supplement it with a good quality vitamin D3. You can buy that again from good health food shops. And another thing which is worth being aware of, if you have darker skin, or you genetically you come from a background where you have darker skin, it's even more important to get your vitamin D levels tested, because you need more vitamin D than people with lighter skin, especially if you live in a country where you're not getting enough sunshine. So you can get yourself tested. You can buy kits online. You can test your own vitamin D levels, or when we come out of this, you can go to your doctor and get those tested. But it's really important, and that's your sunshine vitamin, so it's great. The other thing is your sleep. Again, you probably all know this or aware of this, but again, many studies have substantiated that the lack of sleep can increase your chances of getting sick. So, and the reason is that while you're asleep, your immune system releases these proteins that they call cytokines, and you need those to increase when you have an infection or inflammation. when you're under stress. So you need more of these proteins to kind of counteract all this stress, or when you have an infection, or when you're inflamed. So you really need to get as much quality sleep as you can to make sure that you can fight these stress levels, or your body can fight these stress levels and any infections that are coming your way. So, and again, coming back to this point, if you're more stressed, you have more cortisol levels in your body, which means your immunity suffers. So coming back to the mental pointers that we talked about earlier, it's all interrelated. You can look after your body, you can eat the best food, and you can be fit and do all of those things. But if you don't look after your mental health and you're in a state of anxiety and you're stressed all the time, it's like you're missing 50% of the trick here. So it's all, you know, it is body, mind, and soul. It really is interrelated. So let's look at it that way. And then last but definitely not least, move your body. It's the most obvious one. You don't have to be a super athlete, you know, you don't have to go out and run marathons every day, or do like really demanding HIIT classes, but you can even do regular gentle exercise like walking. So if you just walk 30 minutes a day, or even yoga, you know, just, or very gentle stretching, whatever it may be, it's all been proven. There's studies around this. It's all been proven to boost the immune system and also help reduce the cortisol levels we talked about, which are associated with stress. So in other words, exercise lowers stress levels, and it also strengthens your body, your muscles, and it makes you fitter and more able to withstand any threats that come your way. So those are the main areas I wanted to cover today. If you have any questions right now, please put them in the chat box. I'll do my best to answer them as best as I can. And if I don't have the immediate answer, I can get that for you and come back to you on those. So has anyone got any questions or comments about anything that we discussed right now? Micaela's written it all down. Perfect, thank you.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have a strange echo. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how can you sleep better? Is there a cure, or is there a fix, or is there something that we should all do or not do?
Yeah, there is something called sleep hygiene, okay? And it's almost like you have to go through a process before you go to bed to lower to basically calm your nervous system. You have to calm your nervous system before you get into bed, because if you get into bed and you're wired, okay, it's going to impact the quality of your sleep. You may be exhausted physically and you may fall asleep, but you're probably likely to wake up in the middle of the night, okay? So so firstly, your sleep hygiene should be trying, oh, hi Veronica, sorry, I'm excited to see Veronica there. So the first thing you can do is make sure you limit blue light screens. Screens are not good before you go to bed. So try for an hour to not be on your phone. If you have to be on your phone, there's a setting. You can do these evening settings on your phone, which reduces the blue light. But I would say just try and stay off it. I'm not always hugely successful with this. I'm a little bit addicted to my phone, so I'm not going to kind of preach too much about that. But I do know that when I'm on the phone in bed, my sleep is impacted. I see it, it's measurable. So try and get rid of the phones as much as you can, and the blue. Read something. Try not to drink too much alcohol before you go to bed, because again, even though it will push you into a slumber, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night. You're likely to. So if you're going to have a glass of wine with your meal, fine, all of that stuff, but try and limit the alcohol intake closer to when you're going to bed, you know, because that's not great for you at that point, and that will impact your sleep. And then get yourself into a routine, like create your routine around your bedtime. keep your lights low, have a little ritual at night, you know, even if you're, you know, you may shower in the morning, may not shower at night, but even if it's just doing some deep breathing when you get into bed. There is something that I use when I'm very stressed, and it really helps me. You can look for sleep meditations, okay, and they get you, there's an app I use, and you can, it's a free app. I'm going to write it on here. You can download it. It's called Insight Timer, and it's got thousands and thousands of meditations on it. You can download that onto your phone, and there's a whole section on sleep, and you can take, you know, choose one of those. Everyone likes different things, and put that on as you get into bed, because these meditations are you know, very well put together to get you into a good state when you're, you know, into kind of calm, peaceful state. But it's really about just calming everything. There are other little things that you can do. I put some lavender oil on my feet and I also put it on here just to calm me, and I put it on my pillow. You know, there's just little things you can do. You can have a nice hot drink, non-caffeinated. The other thing is, I found as I've got older, I can't take caffeine in the evenings. So remember, your body takes 10 hours to metabolize caffeine, okay? That's not many people know that, but it takes 10 hours to metabolize caffeine. So if you're having a coffee or even a tea at 6 p.m., you know, it's going to take some time to metabolize it. I've got my rule, I don't have caffeine after 12 p.m., after lunchtime, because I know it impacts me. When I was younger, I could get away with it. Now I can't. So I just, you know, so it's really trial and error and seeing how you feel with your own metabolism.
Greg deleted his personal social media.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
In over a year as well.
What's that?
It's over a year ago.
Over a year ago. And how do you, and you don't, it's amazing. That's amazing.
The first month was hard, but it was like weaning off of a addiction.
Yeah, it is an addiction. Thank you. That's quite inspiring, actually.
It is, actually.
I have a business partner who does that, and I thought she was weird when she told me, but I'm like, I'm getting it now. Veronica says, yeah, again, nice to relax before you go. Have a little stone with you, and even hematite. Yeah, crystal. So it gives you nice balance in your body. So it's really impressive. But I think the most important thing is create your ritual, which is a calming ritual, because everyone has different things that they like, you know. So if it's just stepping away, like don't look at emails, don't look at work stuff for at least an hour before you go to bed. Try and limit time on your phone. Don't watch the news. Please don't watch the news at 10 p.m.
No,
I mean, that will impact your sleep.
Yeah.
You know, all of those things, and just take yourself in a calm state. Play some nice soothing music, or, you know, read something.
Well, thank you very much, Stella. I mean, I've learned an awful lot, and definitely I should stop watching movies at 10 p.m. But I'm just conscious that we are already over our hour and 15, and
yeah.
I just
have one more thing to share. We have created something called Wellbeing at Home, and we, I'm just going to share this on the chat. We are bringing in experts, and they're doing some amazing sessions for our clients. And it's free, and we do it like once or twice a week. So you can, I'm very happy to open this out to anyone in the travel industry who feels that they want to benefit from it. I'm just going to share the link here. So here's a link. You can sign up to that. Just put your details in there, and then you'll get notifications of what we're doing. And, you know, we've had a guy doing breath work, like really good breath work. We've had someone talking, expert on meditation, like world-renowned meditation teachers, and
fantastic.
we've got some really great things lined up. So if you feel you can benefit, I'm happy to open that out to whoever needs it.
Thank you. That's very generous. Thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. You know, look, we're all in this together, guys, right? So we're all in this industry together, and we need to support each other through these times. And we will make it.
Yeah, definitely. No, absolutely. So no, thank you very much. I mean, this to me has been a really invaluable insight, and I think giving is something that we all need to do more and increasingly of, especially in times of trouble. And this is definitely testing times for every one of us. So I think it's important to give to each other. So thank you for sharing this, and for giving us also advice from food and sleep and what we eat and how we exercise. So I'll definitely be, I did subscribe to that, but then I completely forgot, and I said, oh no, I must apologize to Stella, but I will be taking advantage of those workshops, because I do believe they're very healthy for you. And thank you everyone for being here and continuing to listen and contributing. As promised, we will be sharing the recording with you soon. And also at 6 p.m. this evening, we have a Connections catch up with friends, buyers, suppliers, everyone around the world. So if you want to join, just let me know and I'll pass you the Zoom link. It's just an informal catch up over a naughty glass of wine. We also have an amazing lineup of interesting and insightful content. We've got Claudia Roth next week, and then we're talking about meetings industry and meetings design the week after with Mike van der Vijver. And we're also having, this is exclusive to our community, an adventurer, Natalia Cohen, who crossed the Atlantic unsupported with 3 other women, who will be actually giving a little talk to our community. So if any one of these take your fancy, do sign up. We're also very excited that we'll be holding our first global virtual one-to-one event in mid-July. So watch out for this space. So if you're part of the community, we'd love to sign you up for that. We've launched our online community, and we're having a lot of traction and a lot of information. And actually, I will be posting your link, Stella, about all of your exercises and weekly workshops on there. So if anyone wants to take advantage of that. Finally, please let us know if we can be of any help. We can lend a hand, big or small, it doesn't really matter. Even if you're just in need of a comforting conversation, we are here for you. But for now, Stella, thank you very much once again for your contribution. Thank you everyone for being with us. Wishing everyone a lovely evening and a good bank holiday weekend if you're in the UK. Tomorrow's holiday. Or for everyone else, have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.